Welcome to Casual Watch Talk, the podcast from the Casual Watch Reviewer YouTube channel. Join us as we talk everything watches, from watch collecting, the latest horology news and interviews. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe on your favourite podcast app. Let's dive into the show. Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 53 of Casual Watch Talk, and I'm back, Kris.
You're back.
We've had a week off.
Yes, and you've made it.
I'm just in a different location.
Yeah, you made it to your destination.
Yeah, exactly. So sorry everyone, there was no podcast last week. We did try and make it work, but I was waiting for various monitors and stuff to arrive, but we moved successfully from California to Florida. So
yeah,
thanks everyone who's checking
just in time for the rain. It is 55 here and was raining all day yesterday, so probably nicer there than it is here.
Yeah, so thanks everyone who was checking in on the Casual Watch Talk Facebook group, wondering where I was.
Oh, good.
Much apprecited. Yes. But yeah, it's been a fairly easy move. I think a lot could have gone wrong, especially in the world of COVID. But other than that, it was a decent move. So more about my Florida adventures coming up.
Yeah, plus a cross country, which I have done. I've done a cross country move. Yeah, there's some logistical problems there. So good.
Yeah, it wasn't. We decided to sell all our furniture, and I think I was chatting to you kind of off script one day about this, and you were saying, yeah, don't move your furniture if you can at all possible not do it, and we didn't do it, and I'm so grateful.
That's good. That's good. As I think my quote is, we have robots that make furniture, and they're everywhere, so you can just buy new furniture. Sorry, just pop it up on Craigslist and just go get something else nice. It's fine.
It's been a busy watch week, hasn't it? News week, so we'll get into that. Yeah. But how have you been, Kris, in my absence?
Fairly well. Little staying busy with work, staying busy with other things. So doing fairly well.
Should we kick it off with only the second watch obsession of the year so far, because we had a week off?
That's right.
What's your watch obsession been?
It's a continuation of the sale of the Zen 144 Bell & Ross GMT that I had. And I was all excited to bring you guys some inside breaking, and it went 7 days with no bids the first time. And then I became impatient. And so this is my advice to you and everyone listening. Don't do that. Be patient, and maybe list it for a little bit more if you think you can get it. It's always that game to try to price. And I'll tell you, this watch fell right in between the $1,700, $1,800, $2,200 range. It was right in there, and I felt like maybe it would be worth a little bit more because it's kind of new vintage. It's got the tritium lume. It's in well taken care of shape. It's been tested by a watchmaker, etc. But it's also a 20+ year old watch. No bids for it the first time out. So watch didn't sell, and I thought, well, what can I do? And I went back and I did. The weekend was coming up. And so I thought, well, maybe because sometimes it's good to end auctions on the weekend. And so I said, all right, I'll end auction on a Sunday afternoon. Yeah. So I did a 3-day, and I did eBay does the buy it now price has to be at least 30% more than the starting bid price. And I thought I would get more than the starting bid. I started out at $1,800. And so I think the buy it now was $24.50 or whatever 30% is. And I watched it, and I had 5, 10, 15, 20 watchers on it, viewers. The view counts going up to 1,000. I'm feeling pretty good. And then someone sniped it on Sunday at the last second for $1,800. So it didn't go for more than that, which is okay. I think that's a fair price with the bracelet. But yeah, I would have liked to get a couple hundred more, only because of the 10% that I'll pay to eBay, the $24 in shipping and insurance, etc. So to complicate things and I don't think I'll de-anonymize anyone. That's if they're listening and they suspect it's them, they'll know. But on top of all this, it was shipped to one of those military addresses that catches you. Like if you haven't done any eBay shipping, if you haven't done a lot of eBay shipping, these always catch people off guard because it's like APO, FP, PO box, whatever. It's like United States APO and then there's a number. And you're just like, wait, what? You're like, that's the address? And like, where is this going? And honestly, it's military, so it could be you could have one of these and be stationed in Germany. You could be stationed anywhere in the world, and they'll forward it on to you. And you know, it's just a part of the United States Postal Service that they do for our enlisted. And yeah, so it was like on top of everything, I was like, oh, I have to like send it to this random scary address that says it's going to take like 6-7 days to get there. So I assume it's not anywhere in the United States. It's still in transit, so hopefully it'll get to its new owner and everything will be cool and I can transfer some PayPal over. But yeah, it was a bummer because I was excited to tell you guys about how the $2,000, so the $2,000 threshold where it gets checked out by an independent watchmaker, that didn't happen. I would also like to have made more money on it. That didn't happen. So, you know, we're starting to start 20.
It's one of those things, eBay, isn't it? Like you can't judge a lot of stuff. I sell loads of things on eBay, and sometimes you get a nice surprise, and sometimes you don't.
Yeah,
it's kind of swings and roundabouts, isn't it? With it.
Yeah. Had I had to do it again, I would have listed it not as a auction because it's sort of a unique item. I feel like if it's I feel like, you know, if we're selling John Mayer's G-Shock, right? Then you do an auction and you start it at $350. And then you see, you know, who's going to bid it up, right? And you're going to get a bunch of bids for it, right? Because you know tens of thousands of people are looking for that. But when it comes to sort of unique vintage watches, depending on brand, I mean, like if you had like even like a tag or something, you know, like just some maybe 10, 15-year-old vintage chronograph, there's kind of no telling what the market for that is going to be. Because, you know, you have one, so you don't know. And like I say all the time, you know, everybody claims that your thing is worth thousands of dollars, but it isn't worth that until someone gives you actual money for it. So mine was worth $1,800.
Yeah, I sell quite a lot on eBay, and one of my tips is I never have anything on bid. I always do buy it now or best offer.
Yeah,
I never bid anything.
I think that's the correct. Yeah, I think the buy it now is important, but the buy it now being 30% higher, I don't think anyone was going to click on that. And that was, I think, the problem. I should have just listed it as just a flat price, buy it now. So
yeah, I do buy it now or best offer, and then I'll do like an auto accept.
Yep. Best offer, auto accept. Yep. I've done that before. Again, kicked in myself a little bit. Should have done that. But that's my obsession this week, Sam.
Wow. Well, I don't know whether I've had an obsession really. I keep looking at those Keith Haring watches, but I've been resisting.
You are in an empty room, Sam. I mean, you got plenty of space there.
I know. I'm in a new studio room. That's why it's a bit echoey, everyone. I'm going to get some sound deadening blankets. Okay. And also, I've not been uploading to the YouTube channel either, but I've got a new setup. I'm going to start the year afresh. I also slightly changed the name of the channel from the Casual Watch Reviewer to just Casual Watch Reviews, because then it's not all about me, and other people have expressed interest in uploading content to the channel. So I might leave that as an option open to people as well.
Nice.
I've been looking at watches off and on, but really I've been wearing nothing but this Breitling B1. Yeah. I put it back on its original bracelet for traveling because I didn't want to ship the bracelet separately or carry it separately, because the bracelets are even secondhand. I mean, it's a 25-year-old watch and the bracelet's still $500.
I was chatting on the Facebook group that I am on the hunt in my home. There's somewhere in my house. I'm on the hunt for two extra links for my Zin Fine Link bracelet. Still have no idea where those are. So I totally understand the like not wanting to separate them from the watch, because especially during a move, you're like, I'll never find this bracelet.
I've never consistently worn it on the bracelet. In fact, this one didn't come with the bracelet. It was the other Breitling that I had.
Oh, okay.
But because I've got so many watch straps, I like to change it out. But I've been wearing it on the bracelet, and it's so comfortable. I think this is like my ideal watch. I need to make a video on it, but everything about it, I love about it. It's so weird.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been a good. I'd say, when did you first pick that up? Was that before pandemic?
No, the pandemic changed my mind on that.
That's right.
Digital watches.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it really changed my view. But this thing's amazing. I use it as an alarm.
Yeah.
In the night, you can press the crown in, and it's quite bright. The only negative thing with it is that the hands sometimes interfere with the when you're looking at night. So sometimes you'll look at it, and I'll look at it and think, oh my God, it says 8 a.m, I've slept in, but it isn't. It's just because it's obscuring the 6.
Oh, I see. Yeah, the hand just kind of cuts it perfectly. I see.
Yeah.
Is that is that the style? Is that the Breitling style with the sort of the diagonal style bracelet that they do?
Yes. Okay. It's a weird bracelet. It's like off center.
Yeah.
It throws off your sort of OCD when you first get it, but it's very comfortable.
Yeah. That's a classic Breitling bracelet style, that sort of slanted link style that they do. It's kind of their thing. So cool.
It's really controversial because if nobody's seen it, like, it's the central link that holds all of the weight. The other links aren't they're all connected through the central one. I suppose most bracelets are like that, but this looks even more obvious.
I see. Yeah.
But it's very comfortable. It flexes very well, and it's a heavy bracelet, but you don't notice it. It kind of warms with your arm, so it's really comfortable. I mean, it was scorching hot today, and it was, it was absolutely perfect. Cool. But anyway, it's been a busy news week, hasn't it? Yeah. So we've got a few stories to go through. Then we've got Kris will go over some big news from Patek, and then I think for our main topic, we're going to cover, I think, probably the most controversial release of recently. Bark and Jack just did a video on this, but we'll be talking about the Zenith's new release, I think, for the lion's share. I thought this was quite interesting, that eDocs, and you don't hear a lot from them, do you? eDocs.
No,
watches.
I mean, it's one of those mostly European brand. They do have some ADs here. I think they're sold here. You can certainly get a hold of them, but it's very much a European style, European promoted brand.
Robert on our Facebook group, he's got an eDocs watch, and he really likes the history of it. But they've released a watch. They haven't said when it's a limited edition. I don't think it is, but it's based on something called the inverse moon landing that happened in 1978. Have you heard of this before?
I have not.
So apparently it's the inverse moon landing because it was divers, and they made their way to 320 meters deep under the waters of Norway, and they planted the Norwegian flag at that depth.
Oh.
So 320 meters is legendary, but you give somebody a dive watch that's 400 meters, and they'll start complaining that it's not 1,000 meters. But
right. Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
Yeah. Is that, and that's just it was. Oh, okay. It was just the giant leap that they managed to get 320 meters under the icy waters off Norway. So.
Yeah, at that time. And it looks like the guy was in, apart from the dive helmet looking different, it wasn't like, I was expecting, because I think they go deeper now, but they have those almost like robotic Michelin man type suits, don't they?
Right, where you're basically wearing a submersible kind of thing, Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and this watch is, I mean, normally if you said to me a PVD watch, which I don't like PVD black watches, and it's got gold hands, I think, it'd probably look a bit cheesy, but this actually looks okay.
I think it's
a good job,
and it looks like a rose gold. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, they kind of matched that. I mean, it's the typical faux patina color, but I think it works because it matches the color of the gold. we always, we've beaten this one to death, but certainly I think here they're matching the color of the hands and the gold versus this is the color it is, not they're not, I don't think it's calling out to a patina.
No,
no,
exactly.
It's cool though. It looks good.
Yeah, and it's a really nice tie-in as well about a bit of history that's not necessarily like commonly known, because I'd not heard of it before this. I'm sure there's people screaming at their podcasting app going, "Oh, that was very famous."
Yeah.
Or all our listeners in Norway will be outraged that we forgot that. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. I mean, it's quite an achievement, certainly. I mean, especially since it was. I think it was a couple days ago. I had a friend of mine who we were chatting. Didn't know much about watch waterproof ratings, and yeah, we just kind of had that, like, they're like, oh yeah, it does 200, it's fine. You're like, it's not fine. It's like it at 70, if you're a recreational diver, you'll die if you don't have the right equipment at 70. But yes, tell me about it's not 400, or tell me about that it's not 200.
Oh, you've just totally reminded me of something. You would only have seen it if you subscribed to Disney Plus, but there's a new Marvel spin-off called WandaVision, and it's basically got the Scarlet Witch in it and Vision. Mm-hmm. I've only seen the first couple of episodes, but something's happened where they're like locked in a TV show, Bewitched or something. Okay. So Marvel have basically recreated a Bewitched type TV show, and they've done an incredible job of capturing that 1950s esque. Mm-hmm. And in between, they've made like a fake adverts. So they have like the Stark Toaster 3000 or whatever. Anyway, in the second episode, it's got, if anybody's like a Marvel geek, I'll just geek out for a second, but there's a watch advert in it, and it talks about this watch, and then instead of the waterproof thing, it says 1,000 hydras, which obviously gives a cute clue to the nemesis of Captain America. They've done it's incredible job they've done with this TV show. But anyway, cool. That was a little digression. Yeah. I go back and forth with Braemont. Sometimes I'm calling them out for stuff, and then they come with something. They've done something nice, and they should be highly commended. Mm-hmm. I know they give an incredible discount to the military as well, like that. So they're the darling of the some of the armed forces. But they're working with Bernardo's, and I don't know whether Bernardo's is just a British charity. It's a very well-known British charity for. Bernardo was actually a guy, Dr. Bernardo, and the charity is about children. I think it was originally like he started orphanages and stuff, but anyway, it's become a children sort of from impoverished homes and stuff like that. It's actually a fantastic charity. Well, Braemont are going to be giving a laptop for every watch that they sell. They're going to be giving a laptop to Dr. Bernardo's to transfer to a child. So on the face of it, like, very commendable.
It's only when they tie them to the sort of the sales. I wonder how many that they would just like do. Is that like when it becomes like when it's tied to the advertisement, they have to be careful. I think.
Yeah, it's like, buy this watch and we'll donate a laptop to a kid.
Right. I feel like I would. Are they going to just give, like? Are they? I would assume they are signed up to already donate a minimum number. I would assume that's the case. But it's interesting, like, companies definitely have to be careful about how they market this sort of stuff, because, you want to do something nice, and you want to do something, but, and it's okay to get something back, and it's okay to get the community involved. And just, it's often, you just have to be careful. Tread very lightly on how they do it. I would assume.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with you. And I think what they've done is they haven't directly done a limited edition or whatever. Okay. And I think you could actually donate on their website without buying a watch as well, which I suppose is pretty cool. So yeah. So a pat on the back for Braemont this week. Yeah. It's all to play for next week.
Exactly. Yeah. They're up in their scores up now, but we'll soon see.
Yeah, and then a real quick throwaway one here, I suppose. Well, it's a big deal for them, but Oris have created a small seconds version of that Caliber 400 we were talking about.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty. I mean, a good job on them. I mean, they're getting 5 days power reserve out of this thing. So it's incredible. And I mean, it's a beautiful looking movement, isn't it, from the photos?
Yeah, I think Oris is recently with some of their technology stuff, as far as an in-house movement maker, you know, I think they're one of the brands that I've seen a lot more from. I you know, kind of going back to, you know, does an in-house movement matter? Well, you know, it's I think it's a checkbox on the marketing list. But here's a case where they have an in-house movement and they're pushing the development of those movements. Unlike maybe some watch manufacturers who are like, well, we made a clone of the ETA 2829, 92 or whatever. You know, we just made a clone of that and we kind of put our spin on it. Whereas Oris is really, you know, taking advantage of their technology and pushing that, which is very cool.
I agree with you. They're not just creating an in-house movement; they've actually advanced it technologically as well. So yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah.
The last one that I had before we pause for a quick break, and then we'll talk about Patek and Zenith, is this. This was interesting. Again, all these stories, or most of them today that I'm talking about from Watch Pro, it's still one of the best sources. I think it's even better for sort of industry news and things like that. I think it's better than a Hodinkee Watch Pro. But anyway, something I didn't expect this to be a story because I thought it would be the other way around. But apparently Kickstarter, which is commonly used. I mean, I've backed watches on Kickstarter. We've talked about it a lot. There seems to be a lot of watches that I review from micro brands that started off in Kickstarter. In fact, would you say the majority of them micro brands you see now?
Definitely. I mean, definitely a ton. I mean, I can think of probably 3 or 4 off the top of my head that are at least started or 1 or 2 of their, you know, that they attempted to crowdfund with Kickstarter.
Yeah, I mean, Veya, they started off on Kickstarter, and Yema still do. They did that one a couple of weeks ago where it was a limited edition that they did on Kickstarter of a watch that's already a successful model for them.
Yeah. I think it's the crowdfunding as a model. So, you know, for example, you know, if you have a product on your website and you're just like, okay, well, I mean, Veyer did a very, very good job of this. Where, you know, they have to collect, you know, okay, we want to do a dive watch. Well, you gotta get people's, you know, input in it. You got to get the community involved, and Kickstarter has that way of tapping into that so fast, where you can get a bunch of people who are like, oh, this thing's amazing, and I would love it if it came in blue, and if it has this bezel, and you get that like immediate feedback that it becomes its own sales model. Yeah. Where companies will go back again and again to Kickstarter because they're like, we could list this watch on our site, but nobody's going to email us and ask us to make the bezel in blue, you know, whereas with the Kickstarter, with a, you know, funding campaign, you immediately can be like, yeah, we're going to make 4 of the 6 of them. So pick which one you want. And then in a weekend, you're like, okay, well, we're going to make 8,000 of these. So.
No, I totally agree with you. It's a good way to gauge interest. I mean, and it does have the flip side to it as well. Now, you know, Dave from Detroit Mint, he had a unsuccessful Kickstarter campaign, and it does involve a hell of a lot of marketing, doesn't it? Like that, those, when you read in the blurb, I mean, you're practically doing all the copy yourself. It's like a mini website. Normally you have to do a video, and usually their production value has to be pretty high.
Yep. You have to get all that stuff preloaded, whether you're going to, you know, the hope is that you're going to sell millions of them or hundreds of thousands or whatever. You know, the hope is a successful campaign, and you know, the amount of work is equal if you have an unsuccessful campaign and don't sell a single one, as if you sell out of your first. And so, I mean, from it, you're preloading all the advertising. And I think, again, I think the market, it was getting pretty saturated.
Just to piggyback on your point there. So apparently, even though there's been a pandemic and we know that certain watch sales went crazy during the pandemic just because people were at home, but Kickstarter wasn't one of them. And in fact, Watch Pro have the stats here. So in 2017, Kickstarter did 31,810,000 Swiss francs in watch. So maybe it's like $32 million. By 2020, that figure was just short of 12 million Swiss francs. Wow. So it's halved basically in 4 years. I mean, I could guess maybe is that maybe it got oversaturated on the watch things. Maybe, I mean, I had a Kickstarter where the watch wasn't what it was really. And I think that's become synonymous with Kickstarter, isn't it? That you're really buying a prototype.
Yeah. I would, my guess would be everybody's fashion washed out. You know, everybody's got their fill of $250 fashion watches. So I think that, you know, I think when that, you know, I mean, Ben from Ben's Watch Club does, I mean, he just like, he gets on that a couple of times with his stuff, and he absolutely nails it, because it's like, it is that we're disrupting the industry. We're giving you luxury for less money. I mean, you know, like if every day you're getting an email to your, you know, through your spam that says that, you're gonna be like, yeah, okay, I gotta, you know.
Yeah, it's become a trope, hasn't it, of these watch brands, which is unfortunate for the legitimate ones.
Yeah, so I think I would have to say, unfortunately, that'd be my guess of the number of, like, the number one seller on those would be the fashion watch. Even as much as it pains me to be, to want the independent, single manufacturer, bespoke, mechanical watch manufacturers, even though I would really love for them to do 16 million in sales, I feel like that's probably not the majority. So
yeah, so it's interesting. I thought it would have gone the other way, because I certainly see a lot more advertised on Facebook and things like that, certainly more than I remember in 2017. But
yeah, it's tough to weed out confirmation bias for sure.
Yeah,
but I feel like, I definitely feel like it's more often, it's more talked about, and it's more of a thing, you know. And the only reason I give myself a pass on that is because I follow the everyday carry community, and if you look at everybody's, like, you know, pocket dump, where they just, you know, take what are they wearing every day kind of thing, I notice now that it's a lot less just, you know, knives and flashlights. It's a knife, a flashlight, a watch, a flashlight, a watch, different, number of smartwatches for sure, but more so, I think people are, guys are wearing watches more, and that's I think, you know, but again, I'm with Sam on a watch podcast, so I don't know I don't know what weighs up.
Well, anyway, before we dive into the last two stories, let's just pause for a very quick ad break.
Hey, it's Chris from the Casual Watch Talk podcast. As our longtime listeners know, we often talk about cars here on the pod, and that's no coincidence. Like a lot of mechanical watch lovers, we're both into cars and racing. A couple years ago, I curated a collection of automotive-inspired straps and started the Campionato Club. Campionato Club watch straps celebrate the rich history of automotive liveries with their inspired colors. Available in a single pass NATO, two-piece, and our new super comfy elastic NATO. Check out Campionato Club on the web. That's championship in Italian, CAMPIONATO.club.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Casual Watch Talk. So I think these were certainly in our break, these are the two biggest watch stories, weren't they? Chris, do you want to kick it off with your Patek?
I'm gonna hold off, and I'm gonna do one more about our watch friend Joe Biden.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Go for it.
You know, yeah. So hey guys, we have a watch guy in the White House. And notably, so Joe Biden has a pretty varied collection. I haven't seen an article besides what he was wearing on the inauguration, but I haven't seen anything updated. But I know he's got a Seiko chronograph. He's got an Omega Seamaster. He's got a Speedmaster. And I think I mentioned it. We were talking. It was maybe on here. Someone was talking about Joe Biden's commitment to the space administration, commitment to NASA, and I basically was like, listen, he's got aviator sunglasses and he has a Omega Speedmaster, so I think NASA's going to be fine from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Just from that standpoint.
I wonder if they still get their Vulcanes. I wonder if Vulcanes still give them.
I would have to. I think that's still a thing. I don't remember seeing that in the last 4 years, but we'll have to keep a lookout for that. But he was spotted with his Rolex Datejust, so blue dial Rolex Datejust with the Jubilee, which is not the.
So when he signed the papers, he was wearing that. I noticed that.
Yeah, he had it on for the inauguration and some, and then he's known for his Omega Seamaster and some other stuff. So he's got like a gold. He's got a gold like Seiko, I think, as well. There's a whole bunch of watch. So, not anything, not anything political, but definitely watch guy in the Oval Office, which is kind of cool. And interesting to see. It's in other ways, you sometimes, especially celebrities, you kind of think like, well, if this person wears this type of watch, that sort of thing, how does that make this person, and I think being a watch nerd, hanging out and going to events, that sort of thing, I think President Biden could stop by and show us his collection. I think he'd be completely welcome. So.
Well, that was a good one. I'd completely forgotten about that one. But this one is probably a bit more controversial, and I'm not quite sure I know why or I don't know what the fallout of this is going to be. I mean, it wouldn't affect me because I couldn't afford this watch anyway.
Yeah, so the big news this week, the Patek Philippe 5711 Nautilus has been discontinued. And everybody on the internet was I guess, Sam, you didn't catch it. I think it's because you were maybe moving, but I also feel like when I saw this story, your initial take was kind of the same as mine, which was, well, it was $60,000, something I was not going to buy anyway. But certainly for our Patek collectors out there, it was
their most iconic, wasn't it? And it's accessible for one of theirs,
right? And it's whatever price that was already marked up, the quote unquote absurd price that was already marked up, to know that it's discontinued. Anyone that has a Hulk or Kermit or Rolex, these things, I mean, it's the minute they call that they're discontinued, it's money in the bank kind of thing.
Yeah, I wonder whether they're. I tried to look on this stuff. I couldn't find a lot out on there, and let us know over on the Facebook group if you found more than this. But I wonder whether it's going to be a new movement or a new watch, because this was money in the bank for them, this watch, wasn't it? It was like the Rolex Daytona. I mean, people are never going to stop buying the Nautilus.
Yeah, I mean, the rumor was that the wait list was 10 years long. 10. So, for them, I would think that another version or something else, but not sure what we'll know. They left us in suspense. We won't know until we hear more. But 5711 no longer for sale.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose this leads on nicely to this next story because there's so many homages to the Nautilus, isn't there? But I suppose one of the most controversial ones, and thanks to Stephen over on the Casual Watch Talk Facebook group he actually texted me this as soon as it came out, and I was kind of looking at it. The controversy is that Zenith released a Chronomaster Sport with their El Primero movement in them, and it bears a passing resemblance, to be on the nice side, with the Rolex Daytona. It's got that ceramic bezel, very similar. I don't think it's got the screw-in pushers. If you had them side by side, which so many have done, the hands are similar for sure. The dial layout is similar for sure. But Zenith is... People are calling it a homage, but it's a 3-registered chronograph.
Yeah, and it's... I find that hard. I mean, I think you're being too tough. I think the folks that are saying it's a homage, it's a little tough on them. I mean, they have their 3-color sub-registered chronograph, so it's a light gray, blue. So I mean, that's a Zenith thing. They've got their logo and their star the same that they do. I saw the ceramic bezel, and my first thought was that Fortis cosmonaut.
Okay.
As far as what that looks like, I didn't look at this and say I didn't think Daytona right off the bat. I think the elephant in the room is the history that Zenith, the watchmaker, used to provide the movements for the Rolex Daytona.
Yes, because if anybody's not familiar with Zenith, arguably they made the first column wheel chronograph, the first automatic chronograph, didn't they? But I think there's other people that lay claim to that. But they are an iconic, like you said, they're an iconic brand in their own right. They are, and their prices are similar to what a Rolex is. I mean, this is only $2,000 cheaper than an actual Daytona. Now, of course, you can't buy a Daytona
right
now.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the watch industry is weird like that, isn't it? Where if it was any other, well, maybe not any other industry, but say, for example, you suddenly had a car that was like extremely successful and there was a wait list for the car, Ford would just build another factory just making that car, like they did with the F-150.
Right.
They're not suddenly constraining F-150s because it's the most popular truck that they make. They're building factories all around the world, whereas Rolex are like, no, we don't want to sell any more of these. We won't build another factory.
I mean, they have, they're on a level where they, even if they aren't lightly touching the dials of supply chain control, even if, let's say, they aren't lightly, with a light touch where we only make so many because we only want so many on the used market because we only want so many in ADs. Even if that is not the case, because they are the status that they have, it affords them that sort of status where it's going to be a good like that.
Well, and they're a charitable foundation as well, aren't they? So I'll say something controversial. Do they not want the charity to have more money?
right.
It's like the only charity in history that's like, no, we don't want it. We're all right.
But much like the Red Cross, I'm sure the chief operating officer or the CEO of the director of the Red Cross, I'm sure is well paid, just like the director of Rolex is very well paid. So
I know, and that was a more slight. In fact, I should do a video on that, the Hans Willdorf Foundation, because I'm not even sure what it supports. Whether it's
or if it's just it's sort of its own. I mean, there are a bunch of foundations that certainly can do good in the world, but also they have enough money that they can just put it in a bank and make enough money to make enough money to make enough money. Just live off. I would love to live off the interest of one of those bank accounts. Because you'd have no problem.
Yeah, but if Rolex suddenly span up like 3 additional Rolex factories, we're going off on a tangent here, but I don't think anybody would think any less of them, would they? They would just think, well, that's industry, that's capitalism, that's supply and demand.
Yeah, like, you know what though? You bring up a good point. I honestly, I think maybe the opposite. Maybe like true connoisseur watch people, true connoisseur Rolex people would be like, They packing it in. They've packed it up. Like, forget it. Like, they're like Nissan Sentras now. Nobody wants them, you know? And even though they'd have every right to sort of control their supply chain, is interesting. But
well, yeah, I mean, the Apple Watch is outselling Rolex, and Apple are like making these things in these all over China, like they're going out of fashion. I mean, there's never going to be a constrained supply of Apple Watches, but people don't think any less of the Apple Watch. They're just like, I want one. So when you're knocking out, you've saved up 12 grand for a Daytona, and suddenly like somebody that works at an AD looks down their nose at you and is like, oh, that's a 5-year waiting list. And you're like, sorry, I've obviously worked very hard for this 12 grand.
Right.
Like, nowhere else would they kick you out the door, would they? Right. Oh, you've only got 12, maybe Hermes handbags, but it's like people are almost like a glutton for punishment. It's like you're rich enough to be told no.
But I mean, so I don't. I can see sort of and I think maybe just because of the connection, that's why people can sort of draw a quick, they made a similar styled sport chronograph, that it's going to be a homage to. I don't see it as a homage. I see the technology in the back. They're a absolutely cutting edge technology as far as their movements are concerned.
It's a beautiful looking watch.
And then for that, I think maybe they're getting some of that guff. And this is back to my previous point. Maybe they're getting some of that guff because they are challenging people's idea of what a luxury Swiss Rolex Daytona is, as far as technology, as far as luxury, as far as finishing, as far as the whole package. Maybe they're challenging that, and that's why you're getting that sort of reaction.
That's an excellent point, actually. It's saying, look, you're waiting on these endless lists for Rolex Daytonas. We've just made a better one.
Right? Yeah. Yeah,
we've how it should be made. We made the original Rolex movement. They've largely probably not really enhanced it from our original one. So we're just going to hit you with the brand new El Primero. It looks the piece. We're knocking it out $2 grand less, and if you want one, you can have it. Arguably, assuming that the you never hear of El Primeros going people on waiting lists and stuff like that.
Right. It's and I think. And again, that's sort of part of it. I mean, I think that brand. I think Zenith is. We talked about some Zenith a couple of weeks ago, but I think they're in that area where you can get Swiss luxury, top of the line Swiss luxury stuff, and not have it be the I was on a waiting list for 5 years and I was given the opportunity to buy a this particular watch. So it's going after a different market. I mean, if you're saving up and you're on the Daytona list and that is what you really want to go for, and great, that's cool. And then if you manage to get a hold of one, cool. But you also know you're paying an extra Rolex tax on that to get into that realm, which is, we talk about sports cars all the time. I'm sure, as they are not going to offer me the brand new, Ferrari when it comes out. You have to be a member of the family, the Ferrari family. You have had to previously own a couple of their cars, be a caretaker of their brand, things like that. So that's where Rolex is coming from, and it's sort of incomparable. It's like not a fair comparison to Zenith in this regard.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we kind of lit the fuse there. So let us know what you guys think over on the Facebook group. As always, we really do appreciate you listening, and we'll see you next time on Casual Watch Talk. Thanks, guys. Bye.